First things first. First story of the day in Cringe. There was a hate crime that just happened, and we actually have a clip of it.
And this is being investigated. The reason we say hate crime is the police are investigating this as a potential hate crime. So that's why we say it.
In America, you need to learn it. Learn English. Learn it. You get money in America. This is if you get money in America, learn English. I don't give a fuck. Learn it. Learn it. You riding on the roads, learn English, motherfucker. Talk about that shit. Learn English. Learn English. Learn English. Learn English. This ain't your fucking country. This ain't your fucking country. Learn English. Learn English. This ain't your fucking country.
All right. It goes on like that for a little while.
So we're talking about the peace deal. I'm here with Ian Carroll. We're talking about the peace deal that, or the ceasefire and the peace deal to come. And part of it is Trump is sending 200 U.S. troops to Israel to support and monitor a Gaza ceasefire. And what do you think? What do you think is more likely, that the U.S. soldier would shoot an IDF soldier, or vice versa? And then blame it on Hamas, right? And so then we got to go to war, and so the U.S. is sending 200 troops to Israel the officials said that the U.S. troops are being deployed as part of a team that will include partner nations, NGOs, and other private companies. U.S. Central Command will establish a civil military coordination center that will help ensure the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza and provide logistical and security assistance. One of the officials said that no U.S. troops will be sent to Gaza. However, according to a report from Middle East Eye, Egypt has informed the U.S. that it wants U.S. military personnel to be part of the peacekeeping force that is expected to be established by the Gaza ceasefire deal. A second U.S. official told the AP that U.S. troops have already started arriving in Israel to establish the Ceasefire Coordination Center. Another official said that some of them are coming from CENTCOM, while others are heading to Israel from other parts of the globe, although White House Press Secretary Levitt later said the troops are already stationed in the Middle East. Another official said that some of them are coming from CENTCOM, while others are heading to Israel for, that's twice, okay. The U.S. already has at least 100 troops inside Israel to operate the 2 THAAD missile interceptors that the U.S. has deployed to Israel. Brown University's Cost of War Project said in a report issued on Tuesday that the U.S. has spent between $30 and $33 billion on support. We don't need that money in the United States.
No.
On supporting Israel since October 7, 2023, a number that includes direct military aid and U.S. military operations launched in support of Israel. Do you have any trepidation about Trump sending even more troops to the Israel-Palestine conflict?
Absolutely, Jimmy. Obviously you're right on point here. And that there is always the risk that something happens to a U.S. soldier that sparks more conflict. I do worry that might get blamed on Hamas, but I think I'm almost more worried that it might get blamed on Iran, on Hezbollah, because that is the war that Bibi has really wanted. It's the last war on the clean break. It's the last big piece of the Greater Israel Project that Bibi and his factions have not indicated at all that they've abandoned. And so I think that there's fortunately a lot of, powers that are pushing for this plan, and I think it's profit. I don't think it's like out of the goodness of the heart of all these guys that they're, trying to get this peace deal through. I think they're trying to make a lot of money. But I worry that with Bibi and his far right government in power, they're not about to abandon the Greater Israel Project, and they have said openly many times the kinds of things that they would do to get that done. And I am very worried about having American troops on the ground, because it opens up all sorts of false flag and confusing friendly fire situations or what have you that might crack things into a whole nother direction.
So Israel is known for false flags. Israel
Yes,
when they were
sir.
trying to get Jewish people to leave Iran, bombed Jewish communities. This is this is factual record. It's historical record. This isn't a conspiracy theory that they bombed their own Jewish communities inside Iran to try to pressure, and blamed it on the Arabs, and then to try to pressure them to move to Israel. So they're the king of the false flags, right? And so when they attacked the U.S. liberty, that was to try to bring the United States into the war with Egypt. This is their modus operandi, and it's almost certain there will be an attack on U.S. soldiers, and they will blame it on Iran or Hamas, and to draw the United States even further. So that's why I think they're agreeing to this, because they feel that they might be able to pull off a false flag and drag the United States deeper into this conflict if they could, and that would help turn, because America has turned against Israel and for the Palestinians, and that could maybe help turn America back against the Palestinians and for Israel. I think it's a big mistake for Trump to do this.
I agree. I think that it's possible that the Gulf states might have made it a mandatory factor in the deal.
Yeah.
I would understand from their perspective that they want America to have skin in the game as well, but it opens up all these other possibilities that are really, really dark. But I would also hope, and that we're about to be talking about the Charlie Kirk situation too. Max Blumenthal's reporting for the Gray Zone about the Trump administration's fear and frustration with the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu does give me a little bit of hope that Trump's government is wisening up to the way the Israelis do business and to the way that Israeli intelligence operates and how effective they are, and that I would hope that if something were to go down, Trump, or at least people around Trump, are smart enough to look a little closer and hopefully get to the bottom of whatever might happen. Because if they were to try something like that and be found out, that would be a whole different story as far as moving forward. So
I agree. If they got, but the hard part is getting them found out, because they
exactly.
They still don't. The United States still doesn't admit that Israel attacked the U.S. liberty when everybody knows they did, including on purpose. So they thought it was an oopsie. Of course, it wasn't. And Lyndon Johnson was complicit in that.
Lyndon Johnson was complicit in a lot of things on behalf of Israel.
That definitely. Well, he didn't want to get JFK'd, so you can't blame him in that regard. But speaking about, so we're talking about, is this ceasefire deal going to stick? And well, I love Ricky Hale says, he tweets out, Israel agrees to another one of those ceasefires where Israel does not cease firing. The Onion also nailed it. Israel agrees to go back to killing Palestinians on a less frequent basis. And of course, they've been proven right already. Those headlines have been proven right already. This is from the Global Samud Flotilla commentary. It says, Israeli tanks targeted Palestinians who were celebrating the ceasefire agreement and attempted to return to Gaza City via the Al-Rashid Street. As Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu announced the postponement of the ceasefire's start, Israeli warplanes, drones, and tanks continued to strike areas across the Gaza Strip. And here they are. So that's their tanks.
Yep.
So the people are celebrating a ceasefire, and Israel starts firing on them. Of course they did. I think the classic Israeli tactic of trying to kill as many people and children as possible before the ceasefire officially goes into effect is pretty good evidence that it's not really about the hostages at all. And just to remind you, Israel has a ceasefire with Lebanon right now. But guess what they're doing during their ceasefire? Nearly daily airstrikes, drone attacks, and artillery fire targeting alleged Hezbollah sites. That's what's happening during their ceasefire with Lebanon. So, again, if any other product broke as often as an Israeli breaks their peace treaties, they'd be pulled from the market. We know that. And here is Wolf Krieger says Israel. I already sold this in the last, but Israel was forced into this, and they don't want it. That's obvious, which means it won't last. Unfortunately, they'll find some way to get their war machine going again, and so they're already. So doesn't that tell you exactly what they said, that if this isn't about the hostages, this isn't about peace, this is about Israel trying to wipe out the Palestinians and kill as many of them as they possibly can?
At least for, the far right-wing coalition that's currently in power around Benjamin Netanyahu. For them, it's always been about exterminating the Palestinians and taking all of their land and expanding into the greater Israel region. I would argue that for Benjamin Netanyahu, it's really just self-preservation.
Yes.
He's going to do whatever he can to not go to prison, because the moment that Benjamin Netanyahu is no longer prime minister and his corruption trials resume, he's going to prison. And if anyone hasn't seen the documentary called The Bibi Files yet, highly recommend you watch it. It has incredible behind-the-scenes footage about that trial, and it really elucidates how the war and October 7th and the alleged stand-down order that was given all seems to fit directly into place for Benjamin Netanyahu to stay in power and delay the inevitable justice that will be served to him the moment that he has to face the very real corruption that is very well evidenced on his behalf.
And Israel has a long history, recent history also, of imprisoning their leaders for corruption.
They actually do. Yep.
That is
they've done it for prime ministers, they've done it for presidents, and they've done it for high-level executive positions as well.
And so Bibi knows that he's next, right? Because people have been, over a year ago, even more so, thousands of people surrounded Bibi's home, not his office, not the parliament, not the Knesset. They went to his house, thousands and thousands of Israelis to protest against his corruption. I thought they were protesting against his handling of the Gaza conflict. They were protesting at that time his corruption and his rigging of the Supreme Court. And to me, it's like in the middle of a genocide. That's kind of like protesting against Pol Pot for more bike lanes. But anyway,
but if he ever does go to jail, one thing that is going to be absolutely epic, Jimmy, is his wife Sarah's response caught on camera. I don't know if you're aware of how much that woman drinks, but the Bibi Files documentary has a whole segment on Sarah Netanyahu and on her drinking habits and on how she treats people. And anyone that's watched footage of Sarah Netanyahu knows that that woman is truly unhinged. And I really hope that we get to see someday soon Sarah Netanyahu screeching at the top of her lungs about how she's innocent and you can't do this to her. And she knows people. She knows very important people, very wealthy people. So we'll see.
So isn't it amazing how that doesn't get reported in the mainstream news, the corporate news?
Never gets brought up.
That Benjamin Netanyahu is really, as long as he can stay in war, which is why he's bombing 8 different countries at once.
Yeah.
8 different countries. Tell me who's the terrorist in the Middle East? Is it Hamas? Is it Al Qaeda? Is it ISIS? Or is it Israel in the United States? Israel's now bombing 8 different countries at once and breaking every ceasefire they ever had. Anyway, it'll be. Well, again, fingers crossed. This all works out. But we know it's amazing that the corporate news does not report that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing all this warmongering and making sure that everybody knows he's the one blocking the hostages releases. Even the people in Israel have protested against him because they know he doesn't really care about the hostages. He needs Hamas to hang on to the hostages so he can continue bombing them and stealing their land and continuing the greater Israel project. Because if they gave up their hostages right away, he'd have there's no pretense for him to keep doing what he's doing. So that's why he's blocked every hostage release negotiated deal. But isn't it amazing how that never gets reported in the United States?
Never once.
Ever.
I mean, it's not surprising when you actually look at who owns and runs all of the media company, not all, but like an awful lot of the media in America. And they're buying up more social media platforms. You
mean like
not
Zionists,
just Israelis, but Jewish Zionists as well. It's no surprise. It's the way the media goes here in the United States.
Well, now that Larry
Big-
Ellison owns 1/6,
exactly
1/6 of all U.S. media plus TikTok.
And conservative Inc. influencers are still out on X screeching about how, like, see, China controlling TikTok isn't going. So it's like, bro, come on. We all know who controls TikTok at this point. We all know who Larry Ellison loves and is here for. I think that in looking at the bigger plan here, the ceasefire deal, the peace deal, all of it, like we said at the start, great thing. We hope it works, or at least I hope it works. But it really does feel like this is not. It doesn't feel like this is happening because Trump's heart is so big and he like cares about peace so much, as because the power of the Gulf states, Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, a lot of these nations are just now maturing into sort of financial and political maturity. A lot of these nations were ravaged by like CIA coups, by the oil industry, like just, raping them for all of their resources. And so the wealth in those Gulf states has been building over time as they've been using their oil and controlling their own resources in that way. And now the Gulf states, like in general, the Arab world there is extremely powerful financially. And a big tipping point was the board of BlackRock had a representative of Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund for a long time. And then they swapped him out for a representative of Saudi Arabian, like the Saudi Arabian National Oil Company. The financial world that really kind of moves everything around behind the scenes, they are getting more and more aligned with the Gulf states. And I can't help but feel like this is just sort of the next logical progression in that power realignment as Israel has kind of expended their, political capital around the world. And the Gulf states have been just increasingly, money talks, and they've got a lot of it. And I can't help but suspect that a lot of people are going to be making a lot of money on the rebuild and on whatever comes of Gaza. And I'm sure it'll be better than the genocide that was just happening, but I'm not optimistic that it will be prioritizing the well-being of anyone on the ground.
And I just wanted to show you this video, Ian. So I don't know who did this. TRT Haber put this together, and it shows you this is what Palestine used to look like, and now what it looks like after Israel's 2-year genocide. Well, let's go ahead and play it. And that's what it used to look like, a real society, a real place, and it's just been wiped off the map.
Exactly. I've seen some estimates say that it could take up to like 50 years or more to clear all the rubble, which I suspect that is not going to be the case, but it's just unbelievable what they've done. And it is unbelievable, the task of any type of rebuilding on that land.
Even Satan was like, "Hey guys, I think you gotta rein it in a little."
Yeah,
I mean, just take a look at that. That is, they've just turned it into nothing.
Well, Jimmy, Hamas was underneath every one of those.
Every
buildings.
one of them.
So what other choice did they have? Really, those are all very targeted strikes. The most targeted, the most moral army ever in history. Actually. They just had to target every single building in the entire place. So
yeah, and I've seen people on MSNBC as recent as yesterday trying to say that they've killed less civilians than we did. Percentage wise, ratio wise, than we did in World War II. That's their. Yeah, and I don't know if you know, after World War II, we got together and decided that we shouldn't kill civilians after that.
Yeah, we had a whole big conference about it, wrote down some things on some papers.
Yeah. I don't know, over in Geneva, maybe you heard of it. Yeah. And that's why you're not supposed to do that. So It's gross to see people on what's considered left-wing media, which it's not. It's just pro-war, anti-worker media, MSNBC. It's funny what passes for left in America passes for left nowhere else in the world. But anyway, now we're going to get into Charlie Kirk. And before that, Steph, read a few super chats, and I'm going to set it up.
All right. Thank you. Savage, the U.S. government should be reformed. It is our duty to do so after COVID-19. Steph and Jimmy, it was so great to see you in Sacramento. This is from Justin. I hope you love your moneymaker Illuminati folded Federal Reserve origami dollars. I've got them. They're in my office. I didn't grab them yet. I'll grab them and show them later. Justin, that was so generous. Thank you so much. Savage, thank you, Savage. I argue that any government that creates bioviruses is against the will of humanity and should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. 33 million died. Is there any honor left for the dead? Savage. I didn't get a chance to vote against Gaina Fauci's bank account research. He remains the highest paid federal government ex-employee still. Savage.
Okay.
Back to Jimmy.
Hey, it's Jimmy. And I'm here to encourage fans of the Jimmy Dore Show to follow us on all the socials, which is the term we influencers use to refer to social media. We know the establishment's constantly trying to suppress our message, so you may have to seek us out to make sure you're following the right accounts. On Facebook, we're at Jimmy Dore Show. On Twitter, some call it X, I still call it Twitter, we're at Jimmy_Dore. On Instagram, you can find us at The Jimmy Dore Show, all one word, and Jimmy Dore Stand Up. That's for my stand-up clips on Instagram. TikTok keeps banning us, so we can't imagine why they're doing it, but it is really irritating, if you know what I mean. So make sure you're following our brand new TikTok account, which is at The Jimmy Dore Show. Oh, that's the Jimmy Dore Show with a 0 at the end. We're even on Red Note at Jimmy Dore Comedy, even though I don't know what that is. And then if you're not yet a member, we strongly encourage you to join up at jimmydore.com so we can get all our bonus content and watch the full show ad-free. You'll be glad you did. Hey everybody, it's Jimmy. That's me, Jimmy Dore. That's right. I'm the host of the Jimmy Dore Show. Did you know that? We know you're proud to be a fan and a supporter of the show, but do your friends, your family, your neighbors, and random strangers you pass on the street, do they know? Maybe not. And just as you like to keep informed by watching the Jimmy Dore Show, you can inform all those important and not so important people in your life about your love of the show with one of these. It's the authentic and branded Jimmy Dore Show t-shirts. We've got the classic logo, Jimmy Dore, and we also have the Jimmy Dore Show pop art. Look at that. Look at that. Nice, huh? And we also have one of my favorites. It's the Frederick Douglass quote. I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong. It's all available now at our website. Just go to jimmydore.com, then shop the merch, and you'll see there and many more options. And just click on mugs. Also, how about mugs? We got the mugs made in America. This is one of my favorites. It says "Vaxxed and Worried." Nice. We also have
that'll go over big with the guests. Their
my
friends
favorite.
at the
This is a
office.
great mug. It says "Made in America" on the bottom. Jagoff, very thick, nice handle, thick glass. I love this one. Plus, we have stuff like this over there.
Mouse pad.
Mouse pads. We got your Jimmy Dore Show stickers and logos, and we got your what do you call those? Coasters. Look at that. Look at this. Coasters, more coasters. So what are you waiting for? Get your Jimmy Dore Show t-shirt, mugs, coasters. Go get them today, jimmydore.com.